everybody, and welcome back to Lots of Stories. I'm here with one of my favorite storytellers, Rachel Cusimano. How's it going, Rachel?
Good, good. I'm happy to be here.
I'm really excited. Rachel and I met in a storytelling class at Magnet Theater, and that class focuses mostly on personal stories, so it'll be really fun to hear more of your personal stories, and if you happen to get something like fiction, it'll be great to hear you do a story in that style too.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous to be getting something like fiction. I've never really done anything like this, but we shall see.
Well, it's not always so easy, but I tend to lean back on a fairy tale structure. That helps me. I don't know, I feel like once you say the words once upon a time, other words start tumbling out.
Good to know.
That's my approach anyway. All right, we're gonna get started. I'm gonna go first, and Rachel is gonna help me figure out what kind of story to tell.
All right.
Here we go.
So let's see.
All right, so my first word is necklace.
Necklace. E-C-K-L-A-C-E.
Okay, and my second word is going to be black.
B-E-L-A-C-K.
All right, and now I'm gonna pick a triangle. I'm gonna go with, I'm trying to like not fully remember, but also remember a little bit. I'm gonna go with this one.
Okay, let's see what this guy is. So a personal story, nonfiction.
Okay, personal story, nonfiction.
With black.
Black and necklace.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna take a moment to think about this.
All right.
All right. When I was little, one of my favorite things to do was to make jewelry. It was something that my mother kind of encouraged us to do. My mother loved beads, and she had a lot of beads. I loved them too, and when I got a little older, my sister took me on a special road trip to a bead shop in Norwalk, Connecticut, which was really fun. It was right after she got her driver's license. And so it was like, she's a few years older than me, so it was really fun to me to like be in the car with my big sister. But it started because when I was younger, my mother used to wear all of these necklaces that were those very tiny like sea glass beads, lots of different strands, lots of different colors, and they were kind of coiled like a rope. And these were like very big in the 80s. I feel like they're like having a resurgence right now, or maybe a year ago or something. But my mother used to always make them herself or have me help in making them. I remember sitting a lot of the times in the basement watching TV. The basement was like really cozy in our house, and it was just kind of a nice place to have quiet. And so I'd sit there with the TV, and I would just like take a needle to a little pile of beads and just keep stringing and stringing and stringing them. And my mother would come down sometimes to check on my progress, and you know, I'd always ask her like when it's done, because I was young and I wasn't really sure what the right length should be. And eventually she showed me by like the you know, like once you have one finished, you can measure it against the rest. And she was always very good at sort of explaining a task that required dexterity in terms of like, try it a few times yourself, and then this is the next step, and this is the thing you should add on to that, and what you should learn next. My mother, when she was growing up, used to make her own clothes a lot of the times. She would make many of our costumes. She made mine and my sister's prom dresses. And even as she got more comfortable in her life in the United States, she moved here when she was a teenager, she would still like to make things and to teach us how to make things. It was especially useful because when I was a kid, there weren't really kids' clothes or girls' clothes in colors other than pink and purple, and I didn't really like that all the time. So she always says she was like one of the first parents who let her kids dress in black because she just liked the color black. And so sometimes she'd, you know, make those kinds of clothes for us. And That wasn't her profession. She was a social worker and a teacher and eventually a principal, my principal in high school, actually. But she always loved to teach us, you know, how to make things, that we could make them ourselves, and that we could be proud of it. My favorite thing, after I'd finished not just one strand, not just two strands, but all these different strands and different colors of these necklaces, when she would coil them together, it was amazing. And then the best was when she was getting ready to go out dressed up and wear one of the necklaces that I worked on to put together for her. It made me feel really special that I could contribute something that wasn't just a kid's thing to do. It wasn't just a toy or, you know, a way to get a child to pass the time. But it was something that she was proud to wear and that made her feel beautiful, and that I was able to contribute a little bit to her, how she put herself together in front of people, just like she always contributed to us, making us clothes sometimes or taking us shopping. I protested so much, especially when she would take me shoe shopping, and she always managed to weather it. And so I was really glad that I could help out just a little bit. Thanks for listening to my story. Off camera, Rachel and I were just talking for a second about the process of coming up with a story on the fly. And I was just about to say, and then I figured we might as well share this with you, that when we were in class, we would always have like 10 minutes or so to write notes after we got a prompt and to like organize what we're gonna say.
Yeah.
And every time I tell a story so far on this show, we had like no one's really written down notes. Maybe one person started to and then didn't really. And I'm always like, oh, that story would make so much more sense if I like had a little bit of an outline. So.
And I was telling Talia, I was so amazed that you just came up with that, like right off the bat. No words, no notes, no structure. It was amazing.
Thank you. There are like 3 different things that story could have been in my mind, but I actually have been thinking about those necklaces because I've been seeing people wear them lately, and every time I see them, like first I'm like, do I think it's pretty or not? Like, do I like that color combination? Like, would I wear it? You know, that's like my number one thing I think of when I see fashion generally. But then I'm like, oh, that looks so fun to make. That's where my head always goes.
I get that way at restaurants because my passion is like cooking and food. So whenever I see a dish, I'm like, how can I make that and recreate it?
What was one of the dishes you saw recently that you like felt like you had to recreate?
It's actually so simple. It was just like this quinoa vegetable bowl with a tahini dressing. I was like, that is something that is so easy to make and probably would save like $20, or not that much, but you know how much they upcharge in Brooklyn.
Yep, and I feel like I was also just at a restaurant with someone recently, and I was like, one of my favorite things about going to restaurants sometimes is being like, how am I going to make this at home? So I'm with you 100%. Yeah, quinoa and veggies, pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
Did you end up making it?
Oh yeah, I ate it like 3 times last week.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Without naming the restaurant, would you say your version was better or the restaurant's?
My version was better to like my particular preferences, but I think to appease a crowd.
All right,
Yeah.
That's a nice answer.
Yeah, they went a little blander on some of the spices because you have to appeal to, you know, your customers.
Yeah. What were some of the spices you put in?
I love ginger. That's like my favorite. But then scallions. I put sesame seeds, like
nice.
cayenne, mustard powder, which is like my secret spice that I add into.
Oh, nice. My new spice that I've been adding into a lot of things is coriander.
That's a good one.
It makes everything a little citrusy, but also
Yeah.
earthy. And I love lemon. Lemon is like my favorite flavor.
Yeah, and lime if I have it. Lime zest all the time.
Yes, zest and everything,
Yes.
juice and everything.
Spice everywhere.
I always get a little concerned that my meals get a little one note because I want to put lemon or lime in everything. And I'm like, you have to vary it up. You can't put it in everything. But it's delicious.
It is.
What can we do?
Yeah, that's what apple cider vinegar is for.
Yes. I've been doing a little bit of like wine vinegar
Ooh.
Sometimes, like, I'll mix wine vinegar and lemon juice just to be like,
Okay.
see, it's a little different.
Yeah,
It's not like I haven't committed to vinegar yet, so,
I understand.
you know. All right, well, this actually isn't a cooking show. It's a storytelling
Right,
show.
right.
But we forgot for a minute because who doesn't love talking about food? Okay, so Rachel, I'm very excited you're going to tell us the stories.
Yeah,
So,
and because of that conversation, I think I'm going to try to jump into it as well. I'm not going to do my notes, so be kind, audience.
okay, yeah, no pressure. It's
All right.
whatever works for you. But I think it's kind of fun to see what'll just come out.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's also nice to feel organized. So either way.
I do like organization.
I know. All right. Gotta fluff this up a little. All right, pick a first word, please.
First one that comes to mind now, kitchen.
Kitchen. Kitchen. Okay, and a second one.
Dog.
D-O-G. All right, you have the same combination as me.
Ooh. Let's see. Actually, I can't remember which one you picked, but I'm going to try to go for one you did not pick. So
This
guy.
one?
Yeah.
Okay. A story about friendship.
Aw.
Be fiction, nonfiction, whatever you like.
Okay.
All right, so story about friendship, kitchen, and dog. We'll be back in a moment.
My favorite jobs have always been working in restaurants. One that comes to mind particularly was when I was working behind the line in a kitchen. There's just something so magical that comes from restaurants, how you can be greeting a total stranger, but somehow just make create this magical experience for them through the art of culinary preparation and dining. When I was working there, it often felt like a ballet. Service was perfectly orchestrated from the moment someone came into the restaurant, to being sat at their table, to their drink order, to their full course tasting menu, to dessert, and even the maitre d' holding the door for them when they left. And there was just something so beautiful about this complete stranger coming in, but then being able to know their likes, getting to know their culture, their history, all over something so human, food, and the need to be nourished. One of my favorite things was learning how to put a meal together, where I would start, 3 p.m. in the afternoon, starting to prep onions, and then at 8 p.m. I was delivering these gorgeous, like tuna tartare, salads, pasta dish, homemade pizza to people, and they were happy over the food that I put together for them. I don't work in a kitchen line right now. I do still work in the hospitality industry, thankfully. But I think I apply those principles that I learned in the line of a kitchen to my own life. I love having guests come over, and I love putting together not just a dinner for them, but a dining experience, everything from wine pairings to their favorite salad dressings, their favorite ingredients, and talking with them over dinner. I think that's how I communicate I care and my love through the food I make. And now I'm thinking about incorporating dog into this. My dear childhood dog, I think my family, they all embraced, sharing their love through food. My dear childhood dog, he was so loved. And my mom would prepare fresh chicken for him and vegetables on the stove rather than, dare get him anything that came from the can. The most hilarious part of this was my mom's actually allergic to chicken. She cared so much about this dog that she would prepare this chicken. Her eyes would be watering. I'm like, Mom, he's a dog. Why are you doing all of this? Because I love him. He's part of the family. All right, okay. And I don't know if I could say I go to those extremes. When we have guests coming over, sure, it'd be easy to buy, the pre-made dough or, pop something in the oven. But they're family, and I love them, and I want them to see all the new cheeses I learned and the new wine pairing I saw down the street. I want to show them a part of myself through this act of, I guess, putting myself on a plate and showing them my likes and then communicating with them their likes, their culture, their history, conversations that come from the presentation. I think one of my favorite dishes that I've made in my kitchen is homemade pasta for sure. my last name is Cusimano. My dad's Italian, and I didn't learn how to make pasta until later in life, but it's become one of my favorite things to do. Is there something just so, I don't even have a word for it, but just something so comforting about making the dough, kneading it, having it rest, and then cutting it up with a slicer, and then making a meal out of it. I'm not sure how many pasta dishes I've put together, but I'm happy to say it's quite a few, and I don't think it's going to be slowing down anymore.
Thanks, Rachel, for that story.
Thank you for letting me to share it.
It's a pleasure. It's really fun to hear about people's different interests and experiences, so I really enjoyed learning about that.
Yeah.
I have another food question for you.
Sure.
Which is, what is one of your favorite pasta dishes to make?
Gnocchi, because there's so many variables. And you could make ricotta, you could make potato, but then there's so many potatoes. You could do sweet potato and like brown butter, sage. There's a lot of options you can do.
All right, this is very informative, thank you. That's for our sequel show, Lots of Dishes.
I love it.
We'll see. I love cooking, and I used to bake a ton, so I always just kind of get interested in what people are making.
Yeah, it was good. It tested my memory and kind of my improv chops, but also felt very natural.
Yeah, it's funny because when I was telling my story, there is something else I was thinking about with my mother, which is that she would always make salad. Like, salad was a big thing in our house, and she's from Israel, so we'd make Israeli salad, which is vegetables cut up very fine. So what she would always do for me is, when she was teaching me to make salad, was she would clean the vegetables and prepare them so that I could do the cutting. And then if she wanted my help as I got older, and even though I knew how to clean them, I'd always be like, if you clean them, I'll make the salad. So that was our little compromise.
It's a nice little, it's like a tradition you guys made.
Yeah, exactly. So no, I don't mind cleaning the vegetables as much. It's really not that complicated.
Yeah.
But it seemed really complicated when I was younger.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, Rachel, thanks so much for being on the show today.
Thank you.
And I'm looking forward to telling stories with you again soon.
Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.